we're back. A week 11 fantasy review. But first off, obviously, you'll notice that we've got someone new in the show for us today, a new guest. This is Sam. Sam won the Twitter shout out. I guess I'm probably wording that horrendously, that we did on Twitter before the season started. Sam got in touch with us, and Sam's been with us. Sam, you had a shocking start to the year, but you're on the turnaround and you're flying at the moment. But how are you doing? And how's things?
Yeah, I'm all good. I think on the turnaround's definitely the way to put it. I had a horrible start, and it was even worse when I was giving you all big guns saying, "Oh, I'm going to absolutely piss this league" and all that sort of stuff. So I started backing it up a little bit at the moment, and as long as the Eagles keep quiet tonight, that's the only thing that can get me a loss this week. As long as they keep quiet tonight, I'm laughing, and we're into the playoff push for the second half of the season.
What did you start off with again? Did you start off 1-4? Was it 1-5 or one? Was it 1-6? And then you've not lost in how many weeks? Give us how.
I'm not sure. I think it's maybe a 3-week winning streak. I'm not 100%. Need to.
Yeah, it could be 4 tonight. Yeah, you're on 3.
Yeah, sleeper on computer is an absolute nightmare to look at. I always find, so I'm just stumbling through it. But yeah, I think my start was just horrific. I think I actually won. Week 1, massive loss. Week 2, lost to Bish by about 3. Week 3, 30-point loss. Week 4, I only scored 75 points. So I started off 0-4. First win came in week 5, and then obviously tonight I can go 5-6. So I've had a bit of a turnaround since week 5, but yeah, there's been some shocking results in there.
As I say though, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. Yeah, so you're in form at the right time.
That's the plan. Although to be fair, I've just checked week 9. I got an absolute gift. I was played Stocky, and he only scored 59 points. So
probably another week where he had half his team missing.
Probably, yeah. But the worst thing is that I joke about it, but he's also 4-6. He's got the same record as me at the moment. So
yeah, I think he's heavily loaded with Chiefs as well. He plays me tonight. I think I've got about a 50-point advantage, but he's got Mahomes, Kelsey, and Pacheco playing. So yeah, he's
depends if Taylor Swift's at the game. If Taylor Swift's at the game, then you're cooked. But
I believe she's not.
Right.
I think she is.
Last I saw, she was down in Brazil doing some tours. So I think you're all right, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm safe.
I
thought we get into it, and just before we crack on with because you've been busy in the trade market as well. You've been a bit of a Sam Allardyce wheeler dealing. So just before we get into that, just like take us back to how did you first get involved or first take a liking to the NFL?
I've had like a couple of little spells with NFL. Honestly, it first started. I remember back at school, some lad was like, "Oh, have you ever watched this and whatever?" And he sort of, I think it was maybe on Channel 5 then, and it was like just the Monday night games, or maybe Channel 4, and he was like, yeah. And I think that was sort of when Peyton Manning was he just moved to the Broncos, and he was like, absolutely. It was maybe the season where he went for about 55 touchdowns or something insane. And obviously, because they were a good team, they were on TV all the time, and you're watching it, you're thinking this is incredible. So I think, and obviously there's not much really matters when you're sort of 14, 15. You think, I may as well just stay up till it's only school I've got on Monday morning. May as well just stay up till 4 in the morning watching it. And then I think I kind of not fell out of love with it, but just sort of maybe changed sort of friend groups, and they weren't as interested in it. And then I think I got back into it during uni, and then since then did a little bit of work. I do a bit of freelance writing. I was doing some tipping for it last year. So last year I was fully tuned in. And I think I've come into this season with the same confidence, thinking that I know everything. But obviously I don't know everything this year because I'm not doing that work anymore. So I've had that's why I had a bit of a slow start. That's what I'm blaming the slow start on anyway. But yeah, I've probably been on and off for about close to 10 years, but sort of the last 3 or 4 years have been when it's properly started.
Yeah.
Like not like a religion, but you're getting close to it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Bish. Yeah, and on that, Sam, I've brought it up to all the guests. How good are you at predicting at the moment? Because I'm trying to make myself feel better because I'm doing so bad the tipping. I don't feel bad that you've struggled a bit so far because I think it's been the most unpredictable year we've had in years. I don't know. Obviously, you followed it a while, like Bish, probably longer than I have. It to me, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all, and it's it's been a slog of a year. I think for everyone, there's not many people who were even on the Twitter, the YouTube. There's not many people who are really up this year. I don't think.
Yeah, I was looking earlier. I looked at the conferences and like some of the teams that just. Has anyone noticed that the Browns are 7-3 and they're like 4th ranked in the AFC? And I'm like, they've lost Nick Chubb, who's their main offensive weapon. They've had Deshaun Watson, who's been terrible, and then they've had I couldn't even tell you who the back is. It back at PJ Walker maybe? They've had nothing, and they're 7-3, and I'm like, where's that come from? The Steelers are 6-4 with Kenny Pickett, and I'm like. And Najee, I mean, it's not even as if they can rely on a running back. Najee Harris is like falling off a cliff. Like he was drafted real high, and he's been pretty terrible, really. But like some of the team, then obviously like the Lions. I mean, I think they're everyone's like second team at the moment. Everyone just loves watching the Lions. They're so entertaining, but they're like 8-2 now, and it's like, well, where's that come from? So I think it's such a strange season. Bills, obviously, I'm a Bills fan, and that's been a nightmare season. So yeah, obviously, I think it almost started that first week when Rodgers gets injured on literally like snap one of the season, and then since then it's been like, well, it's just been a lottery really for every team and what's going on.
As there's not been two, I know Bish, you said it, haven't you? There's not many teams that are actually that impressive, other than probably the Lions. I'm not sat there going, wow. Like you said in the Peyton Manning, obviously Mahomes 2 years ago, even last year, there's been teams time and time. Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay that first year, where you're like, wow, these teams look elite, like you just feel elite. And I'm not getting that from really anyone this year. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that. It's just I think we talked about it a while back with Tag on a recent show. The quarterback play is probably not where it used to be, and there's not much scoring going on. You know, I think it's picked up a little bit the last couple of weeks, but early on it was very low scoring. The unders was absolutely killing it if you were on that. Defenses were on top, and there's some very poor teams, and it's just random. Not random, but just backup quarterbacks all over the place. Like you said, Deshaun's out. You've got PJ Walker, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. You've got Tommy DeVito at the weekend. You've got backup after backup, and it's just we say there's not 32 good enough quarterbacks as it is, and then when they're out and half the league's got backups in, it's just a bit of a lottery at the minute, isn't it? I think so. It's a bit crazy going on, but. Just throwing on to the Bills, what do you think, like, sort of coming into the season, obviously I'm presuming there were high aspirations of, obviously getting back to deep in the playoffs and trying to avenge the Chiefs. And what do you think's just gone wrong there? What do you think's happening?
I mean, I think this year, like, obviously, like playoffs were minimum, but I think obviously like going into the season, you're a bit like Arl. The Dolphins, I think at the start of the preseason, everyone was like, "Oh, Dolphins could be incredible if Tua's healthy." Like I remember on draft night, like I was like, "Well, what's Tua like? If he's not concussed, then like you're flying. But if he's still, because that was such a bad injury, and then the Jets like got a serious defense, don't they? And then." But then they've got Rodgers. So I think preseason is like a little bit like, right, okay, maybe we're not going to storm the division like we've done the last couple of years. But then I think, is it 5-5? 6-5 now. But I think there's been a lot of injuries on defence, and I say it's been a season for injuries. But I think it kind of goes a little bit unnoticed. Like if you're just like a neutral, if you like follow NFL every week when Kirk Cousins goes out or Anthony Richardson or like a big name quarterback, you're like, oh, that's that team. They're going to struggle because of the fact we've still got Josh and he's still playing. People kind of almost forget like I think we've got 6 starters on defense are out. Like Trey White's like one of the best corners in the league. It's like Von Miller. Like last night, I think 2 went out. There was our safety, Tyler Rapp, and somebody else. Somebody else, and that was another like bad sort of concussion. Hit one like, and I think it just you're like, yeah. I mean, it's an easy excuse to make, but like because of the fact that it's not like your big name like star player like Diggs or Allen, kind of gets a bit forgotten about. But then also then there's just some things that are just like inexcusable. Like there's just poor play. We've sacked our offensive coordinator, and I think there's been a lot of almost like behind the scenes disruption. The Buffalo media like seem to just love to anytime there's a loss, like Stephon Diggs wants out, Stephon Diggs, and like I don't think they help themselves. It's that sort of. I think obviously like being based in New York, like it's that sort of New York media as well, and it just seems a really toxic place to be at the moment. But I think obviously like we've got the Eagles next week, which I think that's do or die. If you can beat the Eagles, you show you're a serious team and you're going to make the playoffs. And I think even if you put up a good performance, but if we get blown out, then it's season over.
Yeah, it's getting tight for those wild card spots. I think Steelers hold one at the minute, but I'm not thinking they'll end up there. But yeah, it's getting pretty tight. And what do you think on offense? I think obviously you got Allen, but it's literally Allen and Diggs.
It's just Allen and Diggs. Gabe Davis needs to. I really like Gabe Davis, but he just needs to step up. He'll make like a circus catch every other week, and then he'll have like a week where he's got like 150 yards in a blowout win. But then next week when we lose, it'll be like 0 catches on 5 targets, and it's like, come on, just save a little bit back and just get more consistent. If you can go like at 3 or 4 catches a game, because of how good Diggs is, all we need is a wide receiver 2 to get sort of 50, 60 yards, 4 or 5 catches. But he's just been missing. And I think James Cook, that's not worked as well as expected, I don't think. And I think they've almost stopped Josh running. Like he's like 6'5". He's like I mean, how good would he be at prop? Like get him playing prop, he'd be absolutely unreal. Like, but then they'd just be like, no, we can't run him because I don't know. The game plan seems to just be like, oh no, we don't want to get him hurt. Like, yeah, he might fumble a few of them, but I think 9 times out of 10 he's going to get you that first down or get you that touchdown. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's maybe why the offensive coordinator has been sacked, or I'm not sure what the plan is, but yeah, something needs to change.
I think that was just a scapegoat. He just got the bullet there, I think, to be honest, because all these errors and turnovers and that, if you look at actually the Bills and how they started, they're actually like a top 10 in every attacking category. For me, I just don't understand how you can get the bullet when on attack you're doing everything. You've got you can't do anything about the turnovers, about the fumbles, interceptions possibly, but I just think there's a lack of weapons, if I'm honest. Like we just said it there, Gabe Davis doesn't really show up. Khalil Shakir seems to be boom or bust. He had a great game yesterday, but then he's nowhere.
But the fact we're relying on Khalil Shakir, who was, I think he was like 5th rounder in 2022. It's like, well, when he's your wide receiver 3, I mean, Dalton Kincaid, like, obviously, everyone knows that tight ends are really slow to sort of develop. Like, yeah, granted, he was a 1st rounder, but you tight end, obviously, Dawson Knox being out, I think, is kind of, that's not helped. But yeah, there just isn't much to pass to, really. If Stephon Diggs doesn't go for 150 yards, it's tough to win. and that you shouldn't be expecting a player to go for that many yards every single game. But I think that's where we're at, really.
Yeah, especially with no defense, like you're saying. But yeah, let's try and lift the mood a little and give you something good to talk about. So towards the punt, obviously you said you got off to a bad start, and then you've started making some moves. Some trades been going on. I know we had a few hours of conversation the other day before we finally got to a trade, and just talk us through some of the. Oh, you've just done a blockbuster one as well. Just before we literally come on, I'll just try and get it up. So you've traded James Conner, Jalen Waddle, and James Cook for Derrick Henry, Tyler Algier, and Christian Kirk. So just talk us a little bit through your thought process and where you're at with your team now.
So team-wise, I think I just wanted. I know Derrick Henry's maybe not being as good as he normally has been in most seasons, but I think I was like, right, I'm sick of playing on these boom or bust sort of players. Like, I need someone who I can trust. And I was like, right, well, Derrick Henry is 9 times out of 10, he's pretty trustworthy. And also he's got some great games coming towards the end of the season. I was like, right, if we're going to make a playoff run, then he's the guy. So he was mainly who I was targeting. And I've not like given everything up to try and get the rest of it, but that's almost like the plan. I don't really care what else there is. It was get Derrick Henry, but I think Christian Kirk. I mean, Jalen Waddle. I don't know. Jalen Waddle's had a weird season. I think he's had a couple of 30-point games, but other than that, he's not really done much. So I was quite happy to sort of see him off. I mean, I know I drafted him really high. I think he was my pick in the second round. I mean, I started the draft off with Chase in round 1 and Waddle round 2, and I was like, right, well, I'm guaranteed myself, close to 40 points a week there with those two, and it just hasn't really clicked, especially with Waddle. So I wasn't fussed about losing him, and I mean, I think it shows not how bad Waddle's been, but when I made the offer to tag, he wanted Tank Dell, who was like a 7th round rookie, instead of Waddle, and I was like, no, you can't. I'm not letting him go. And I think the fact that I'm prioritizing Tank Dell on the Texans, who everyone expected to be the worst team in football, over Jalen Waddle, kind of shows what Joe had said about what an unpredictable season it's been. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I've still got Dell. So my wide receiver core is going to be like Chase, who obviously won't have Burrow. But I think sometimes when you lose an elite quarterback, your elite wide receivers become not necessarily better, but the quarterback is going to look to them every single time because he's not confident. They've not made a move yet, but I think so. They're going to have Jake Browning or someone for the rest of the season. If I'm Jake Browning and I'm thinking, right, I need to pass the ball, I'm not going to be looking at like Tyler Boyd. No disrespect. I'm going to be like, right, who's my best player? Like, I just want simple. So I kind of think you might get a few more targets. Maybe the yards won't be there, but I might get a few more catches. So I'm pretty happy with him. Christian Kirk, you never know who's going to do well between him and Ridley. It was Ridley this weekend. It could be Kirk next weekend. So I'm still keeping that sort of boom or bust player, but I'm just swapping it from my running backs are more reliable now, and my wide receivers are more like lottery picks, I think. So, but it's mainly, honestly, the whole trade's based around Derrick Henry because he's got the Texans twice in week 15 and 17, and I don't know if you ever seen what Derrick Henry's record against the Texans is.
Yeah.
Rivals. His last 5 games against them, 211, 212, 250, 219, 126.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, if I can get week 15 is the final game before the playoffs. So I was like, if I'm say like right on the brink of making it or not, I was like, I want who I think is going to be the best player in the league that week, Derrick Henry against the Texans. And if I make it to the bowl game, which is week 17, I want the best player in the league, which is going to be, in my opinion, Derrick Henry against the Texans. So, like, if I don't make it now, it's a bit of a waste. But That's the plan, pretty much. Get Derrick Henry, get in the playoffs, and let him do it for me.
I'm
Putting it all back.
going to go at Taggy. I think you might have won the trade. I'm just going through it. I think the name of Jalen Waddle, as you said, is deceiving in that trade. I think Christian Kirk on the year's ranked 24th. Waddle's ranked 31st. You've got Derrick Henry, who, like you said, who's got a good run into it. And then you've only... obviously, the probably thing is James Cook for Tyler Algier, but
if Bijan gets injured, though, I mean, I know you can say that for anyone, but I watch enough of James Cook to know that he's just frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, Algier is probably not really going to do much, but you don't want to wish an injury on a player, but if Bijan gets injured, which you've seen how many injuries there's been this season, Algier, when Bijan wasn't playing, was actually putting up some good numbers, I seem to remember. I think he's had a couple of 20-point weeks, really.
Even when Bijan plays, he still racks up numbers. So
yeah, I mean, Arthur Smith's a weird guy, isn't he? Like, you got Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson, like two like the freakiest athletes ever, and he's like starting Jonnu Smith, like whatever. It's weird, isn't it? But yeah, I'd seen a Twitter thread basically that said like these are the running backs. Like it was like the 5 running backs are the best run into the playoffs. 5, and I kind of sort of looked at that and was like, right, that's who I'm interested in. I can't remember what trade we'd done, but I know that I was targeting someone there that was probably like in that sort of
did. Yeah, last week I think you.
Trey McBride. Yeah. Which I think on the face of it, again, it looks like I'm losing. I think most people would agree that Tyler Lockett's probably better than Trey McBride, but I think Trey McBride, like with Kyler Murray back, I think he can be all right. I mean, yeah, he had a poor week this week, but you're looking at the playoffs again. They're not bad games. He plays Chicago in one of the playoff games if he's there, and I knew that I already had, because of the fact that I drafted heavy on wide receivers, I had Chase and Waddle. I was like, I can kind of let Lockett go. I wasn't too fussed about that.
Yeah. Well, I think you offered me Waddle, but yeah, I'm not. I think
you didn't want me either, did you?
No. Well, he's a third option on that offense in here. You've got Hill, obviously, who does everything. You've got the running backs and then him. Whereas I liked Lockett. Again, we've talked about playoff run. From week,
he's
week
got
15,
a nice game actually.
He's got some nice ones. So it's a good option. And you talked about Christian Kirk. I've been all year with Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley, waiting for him to explode. And then I get rid of Trevor Lawrence. I stick Calvin Ridley on my bench, and they both explode in the same week. So yeah, it's been a nightmare for me with the Jags. So I think that's probably, I've missed out on Calvin's big game. And I'm guessing now, as soon as I put him back in, he'll go back to delivering duds. So, yeah, it's a funny world, fantasy, isn't it? Frustrating.
Yeah, I think frustrating is definitely the word. Like, and the worst thing is as well when you're in multiple leagues and you're trying to work out who you want to do well for which league. So like tonight, I don't want DeAndre Swift to do well, but I've also got him in another league. So it's trying to, you get to the stage of the season where you've got to prioritize which league you care about, and it's just a bit of a nightmare.
Just with multiple leagues, Sam, what do you do? So do you try and stack your players in the same leagues, or do you balance it out and go for different players in different leagues?
I think I definitely have players that like going into like when you go into the drafts, I'm like, right, I want that player in that sort of round. Like I know that that's someone that I like. Like I think everyone's got the favourites, don't they? And then there's also players that, like I mentioned Najee Harris earlier. I'd never go near him unless he was in maybe like he'd fall into like the 6th round. Like there's certain players. So I think a lot of my teams end up with quite like similar cores. Yeah. And I think this year is the first year I've kind of looked at wide receiver as being like the main thing. Like before, I used to be that guy who'd take 3 running backs straight away, and then I'd find a wide receiver.
Yeah.
But I think how good Jefferson and Chase, Waddle and Hill, like Diggs, have been these past sort of 3 years was like, well, the only running back really that was matching them was sort of Chubb just for consistency. I mean, I think people who drafted CMC this year they've been pretty happy with what they've got back, but it could have been so different if you look at all the injuries. But yeah, so like a lot of my leagues, like I like picking up guys like Tyler Lockett in sort of round 9, because I think Tyler Lockett week to week can be one like a wide receiver one. And I think a lot of the time I'll almost try and be a bit of a cheapskate. Like I'd quite happily take Waddle in round 3 rather than Hill in round 1. And same with Lockett in, I don't know, round 10 rather than Metcalf in round 6 or whatever. Like I think quite often that wide receiver 2, I think's underrated a lot of the time. So I've got lots of those sort of guys. So like, I mean, I don't know why, but Deontay Johnson was getting drafted below George Pickens. I mean, yeah, Kenny Pickett's not good, but Deontay Johnson every single season is like, I think, is a top 20 wide receiver. George Pickens is a rookie and it's exciting, but I think, like, you know what I mean? You just kind of almost be boring. I think if you're boring, you can do surprisingly well, and then you just have your little hunts like Tank Dell. I picked up in quite a lot of leagues because I saw stuff about him, and he's a bit boom or bust, but he's getting more booms at the moment. It seems like it was another 30-point week this week. So I think like it's just trying to get like, and because sometimes I'm in a couple of dynasty leagues as well, so I think that can skew what your thinking is, because quite often I'll be like, I need to pick young players, but so I'd never trade for Derrick Henry in the dynasty league, but like in this league, I'm like, all right, Derrick Henry, I think it's gonna be great. So I think you've just got to kind of like realize what's going on. It's because there's so many ways that you can play fantasy football, and and same with betting as well. It's pretty. I think it's pretty confusing at times, but yeah, just back your guy and that's it. I know that I'm probably going to lose that trade in most people's eyes, but like, if you got a gut feeling, you got to go with it, don't you?
Definitely.
That's it. Went wrong for me. I picked Saquon in most of my leagues. I think he had a good week this week, but apart from that, I've been struggling. So I feel you. I definitely feel you there. And then obviously, Bish, you had some ones that you consistently went, like you said, the Jags. It's been a roller coaster for you this year, hasn't it, with the Jags? So yeah, I feel you there. It's been a crazy year. Crazy. It always is, though, isn't it, to be fair, fantasy football.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the two that you said there. I think redraft is a lot more intensive. It is. I think it's literally week to week. It's matchups, and like you said, on paper you had a great team first 4 weeks. If you get those two big names who don't perform, all of a sudden you're at the bottom of the ladder and up against it. So that's why I like the challenge week to week of trying to pick the matchups, and a lot of frustration, but yeah, it keeps us going, and it's another tight week this week. I think, Joe, you've done well, haven't you?
Yeah, I think I'm hoping I've win as long as AJ Brown doesn't go off for about 40 points. I should be okay. I've got Devonta Smith there as a backup, so as long as he gets a couple and AJ Brown doesn't get about 3 or 4 touchdowns, I should be okay. So yeah,
is AJ Brown still on his insane run of like 125-yard games, or has it ended now? I've not noticed in the last couple of weeks. Or did it end? Did it?
No, he got a bye last week, didn't he? So he's I think he's in week 9 against Dallas, he got 16 fantasy points. So I'm not sure if he got that.
Yeah, he only got 66 yards against Dallas.
66 yards against Dallas is pretty good, though, to be fair, isn't it? Really,
yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks before that, it was all over 127.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So he's
again. Like, what makes it weird as well is people were like, "Oh yeah, Jalen Hurts is only a running quarterback." It's like, well, I know he's got a good wide receiver to throw to, but you don't put up those sort of numbers if you're just a running quarterback. Like, yeah, I think as well, like sometimes some people might have thought, right, Justin Fields is going to make that sort of step and be the passing quarterback as well. Like, it's nice having a running quarterback, but ultimately all your points are going to come from passing in fantasy most time, 9 times out of 10. So like start of the season, if you kind of thought, oh well, DJ Moore in Chicago is going to make Justin Fields sort of top 5, like a lot of people did, gamble on him, and then he just doesn't work out. He gets injured. Whereas if you just kept the faith of Jalen Hurts, who went to a Super Bowl last year, well, maybe wasn't quite as interesting a pick, but just probably in the same sort of pick range. And Jalen Hurts has had a great year. Like he's probably one of the MVP candidates. So I think it just shows how that's like a 50-50 decision, but it can kind of determine your season. Because at the end of the day, like if you get into the season and you've got a good quarterback and you're like 8 weeks in, you're not going to trade your quarterback away. Even in just one quarterback league, you kind of keep him, don't you, really, for all the way through. So like some people's seasons end up being finished before they've even started just because they made, well, I want to pack Justin Fields instead of Jalen Hurts. I think it happens so often as well, doesn't it? Like who would have picked Josh Dobbs at the start of the year and he's like QB8 or something like that?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think I mean, you can't predict injuries. Injuries happen, but I think a lot of it is it's where I try to get an edge on what the narrative is and what I think a player's upside is, and trying to, because like you said, a lot. Well, obviously, if you're on the flip side of that and you're picking your Hurts, yeah, you know, Kirk Cousins gets a lot of stick, but fantasy wise, is unbelievable.
It's great,
they're always behind. He's always throwing, and he's got Justin Jefferson there, who's incredible. So it's those little angles that I try and make the most of, and what narrative maybe people are thinking or being pushed towards, and that you can.
I think Jared Goff's kind of similar to Kirk Cousins in that respect as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously this year, like they have made the step up, but like if someone asked you at the start of the season, who would you rather have, Jared Goff or Justin Herbert? You're taking Herbert all day long, but I reckon Goff's probably beat him this season, like stats wise. Even though the Chargers are behind a lot, it just hasn't happened for Herbert for some reason. Like Williams been injured and Quentin Johnson can't catch a cold. But
Yeah.
have you seen that drop or not?
Yeah, I've mentioned it before you come on. When I was talking to Bish, I went, "Oh my God, the Chargers should not be in the state they are." But as you said, can't. But every game there's a highlight of him missing a catch, isn't there? It's shocking. It's shocking. So they need to. But that for me, for the Chargers, just slightly off topic for the Chargers. My issue is that defense. They've got so many big names. That should be a better defense than it is. I don't know who's to blame, whether the head coach or he'll blame his defensive coordinator probably this offseason. But they've got so many big names in there that just aren't anywhere near performing where they should be. That should be a good defense, and the reason they're always in these firefights is because, as I saw with Green Bay yesterday when I was watching them, when they're on. There's no stopping in that defense. They're not doing anything. They're not intercepting. They're not sacking enough. And I said when Jordan Love got hot, they couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop Jordan Love and a load of rookie second-year wide receivers going down the field at will. It was crazy to watch.
Yeah, as soon as Joey Bosa went out, they just got ripped to bits. And it's not even
well,
like
they've got Khalil Mack as well, though, don't they? Like it's like. I mean, I'm not sure what. I know they they've paid him big money, but I think they paid a lot of picks as well, maybe as well. It's just not worked for him, has it?
No. As I say, Joe, I think it's the coaching. But I just have to put some respect on Justin Herbert. He's actually a quarterback too. He's actually like 34 more points than Jared Goff. So.
Fair play. I honestly didn't realize he was doing that well.
I didn't call it out, so I wouldn't have known. Yeah.
But 34 points over what, 11 weeks. I mean, they both had a bye game, so it's 10 weeks. It's 3.4 points a week, and you're getting Herbert in maybe round 4, round 5, and you're getting Goff in round 10, 11.
Yeah.
Goff were on our waiver wire. I've got Goff. I didn't.
Was he on a waiver? Was he?
Yeah, I think you're on waivers because he had it after his bye. But yeah, like you said, it's if you look at the two teams, Chargers keep things tight, and the Lions are scoring points for fun, aren't they? So yeah, you wanna probably lean Goff's way. But yeah, I think it's been good. Good little chat. Obviously, I hope you do well, Sam. Not too well because I think you got me coming up soon. So
we got another game soon or not? I'm not sure.
I think it's just before the
I think
playoffs.
because I played you early, I think we do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just before the playoffs. So
I hope Derek Henry's unreal that week then.
it's literally week 13.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a pretty tough run actually. I've got Grimesy, yourself, and Tag with my last 3.
Oh, we could see the downfall of this year. We could see.
Oh no, I've got Cubans out. I've got the Resis in. I'm already in playoffs.
Oh yeah, is it confirmed that you win? Has that been?
I think it's. If I win tonight, like I said, if Mahomes doesn't rack up, Mahomes and Kelsey don't rack up 50 points between them, that'll put me on 9 wins, and currently, yes, 6th spot is Bassey, who would have won. Put him on 5, so he's 4 wins. 4 wins behind me, and there's only 3 game weeks left. So yeah, I'm. If I get this win, I think I'm good.
Yeah, should be exciting between me, Sam, and Bassey, really, who and your brother. But I'm beating your brother this week, me, you, and so let's hope Bassey has a few shockers, and it's me and Sam making them playoffs.
Yeah, 3-2.
Close now, innit? I'm 5-5, and then you 2 are 4-6. But I think Sam will end up winning tonight. And is Bassey winning tonight?
Yeah, he beat Grimesy.
Oh God! So yeah, it's all on then. I've only got £17 of waiver wire left. You 2 have got loads of money left. So I think you've. We lost Sam.
No, sorry. I was looking at the table and I realized I hadn't moved for a while. But yeah, I've got $62 on waiver left, so I'm not sure who I've got targeted looking at, but yeah, I might go spend some money this week.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think, to be fair, so actually, just coming back to it, one of the underrated ways to spend your money, and I know you got flack for it every week, is picking the matchups on defense and kicking. Yeah. You went and got the 49ers. I don't know how the 49ers have been dropped.
It's a funny one. I dropped them because they're on.
Did you drop them?
I dropped them. Grimesy picked him up and then dropped him 3 days later. So I'm not sure what happened there. But then, yeah. As soon as I saw, I think I watched them play. Who did they play? They come off the bye. They just signed Chase Young. It might have been the Lions. It was the Jags. They absolutely ripped the Jags to bits. And I've seen Nick Bosa off one edge, Chase Young off the other, and I'm thinking that's a title-winning defense. That so yeah, I splashed out quite big on him.
Yeah, I mean, I went big on the Dallas kicker. I picked him up apparently October 25th, so I must have had him for about 4 weeks, and he's smashing it because they're high scoring, but he seems to obviously have a bit of a leg on him as well. So yeah. He's kicker 2 on the year, and I think 8 points this week. I've not necessarily won yet, but if I win by less than 8, then I know where my wins come from. I think that sort of picking your matchups on defense is probably. I think that's what makes redraft as well so interesting, because you don't have defenses in Dynasty, so you can't really try and get those little those 1%ers and stuff. But I think on here, it's definitely something that kind of goes underrated. I think Dallas defense probably, if you'd have drafted them early on. Did you draft them, Joe?
I drafted him, way too early than I should have, but it's been.
They scored 20 points a week some weeks, don't they? So
I'd be 2-7 if I didn't have Dallas. So many wins. The only confidence I've got about talking about fantasy football is that I drafted them quite early on. It's been my only saviour. I
think with the unpredictability this year as well, we talked about defenses, kickers. There's so many field goals that obviously we have our segment on the debrief, but kickers seem to be racking up 12 plus points on a regular basis, 2 or 3 a week, and it's those little margins make a big difference in the end. So yeah, definitely those are 2 areas that I've looked at to try.
You picked them 10-2 in the 10th round. Mind you, someone. Oh no, was was Brav? I don't know who Brav's
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Were
Were they an auto draft?
Yeah,
Yeah, there were a few on auto draft.
In round 4.
But even on auto draft, surely it goes with highest ADP, so he must have selected that.
Yeah.
He's put them into draft later, and obviously must have not
Yeah,
realised it's next draft or something. And he's just
Yeah.
picked all the things that he wanted.
Yeah, something's gone on there.
Yeah, tough. Because it did. That was the first time when it had like a blunder, wasn't it? I know. What is it when it said something? Didn't
Makes
it?
some noise or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, peeped up, didn't it? Saying someone's picked a player way over what they should have. It was quite funny watching it live.
Yeah. But nice.
I knew there was something dodgy, but I can't remember what it was.
So Sam, if you manage to nail the playoffs, I think you've cemented your spot for next year. Can't be many fans who'll upseat you if you make the playoffs.
Well, I'm open to. I've just looked as well. I picked Darren Waller in round 5. That's a killer, that, isn't it? When I thought he was going to be the guy that made Daniel Jones like a startable quarterback, and then obviously he goes and gets injured, doesn't he? But and then the one pick after was TJ Hawkinson, who's actually ended up as tight end 1, isn't he? Ahead of Kelsey.
Yeah.
So it's like, fine margins there, isn't it? Really, but.
Yeah, I mean, I drafted Darren Waller in my other draft, where, like I said, we have quite a bit of money in, so I'm devastated. Yeah, I'm 4-6 and out of the playoffs, so I'm done in that one. So yeah, no, Darren Waller is. I feel your pain. All good then, lads. I think if we like, share, and subscribe it, get it out there, it'd be brilliant. Thank you, Sam, for coming on. Good luck. Hopefully, I see you in the playoffs. I think after this win, I'm confident I'm getting there. But looking at the playoffs, I think you should too. So we'll get you back on if we get you in the playoffs. We'll get a playoff show on, and we can do that. Actually, I know I'm talking as I'm thinking again, but if we should have a playoff segment where we get everyone in and all have a big
head-to-head. Yeah,
have a big head-to-head on the show. Get everyone at it for the playoff, going into the playoffs, and But again, Sam, thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure. You certainly you probably know a lot more than me about fantasy football. So yeah.
I think I ended up rambling quite a lot. To be fair, I think I've used this as a bit of a therapy session for my fantasy season. Just kind of got it all out there. But no, it's been great getting on. So drop me a line if you want me to come and rant on next week instead. Or drop me a line tomorrow if bloody the Eagles end up somehow managing to beat the Chiefs with DeAndre Swift scoring 2 touchdowns. I was crying. My playoff hopes be crashing.
Yeah, I'll message you a day or two after to give you some time to recover if that happens.
Yeah, I'll need it. I think I'm back to work tomorrow, but I'm tempted to stay up for the game tonight. 'Cause it is one of those games where it's like it's a good one, isn't it? Really. So yeah. I might stay up for it.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, been a pleasure, and Bish, been a pleasure as well. I will. We'll see you soon.
See you later.
Ta-ra.